Today's episode is with Shivani Arni.
When I'm able to recognize my own emotions, I'll be able to recognize the person I'm talking to. And I think the best part of EI is the social skills. If I have to summarize how
Mhm.
emotional intelligence actually influences a self, something which is just coming on your way and you're not aware. I think having these skills, what we just spoke about, will help in managing such situations. And I'm like, yes, please go ahead and let's see what happens. And
Or
let's
how will you
see
bring awareness or develop a security-centric culture
because we
in
are
your
here
team?
to help you guys.
Yeah,
It's not a fault finding exercise. Okay, people know what scans have to be done. People know,
right.
is a remediation. People know this is applicable for anyone and everyone who is taking any of the third party services. I mean, third party risk management is just one part. And when do I start thinking about this? The bigger thing now is post onboarding. I think onboarding is not a problem, but post onboarding, the governance structure has to be very strong. We should not be just leaving it to the vendors. One thing, we should also be monitoring our side of story too.
Hi everyone, this is Purushottam, and thanks for tuning into Scale to Zero podcast. Today's episode is with Shivani Arni. Shivani has been in the information security domain for last 18 years, where she has played several roles from a support analyst to consultant, auditor, and now she's working as a CISO for TransUnion Civil. At TransUnion, she leads the information security for India region. She's also part of Women of Technology initiative at TransUnion, representing a select set of women leaders. Shivani, thank you so much for joining us today. For our audience who may not know you, do you want to briefly share about your journey?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much, Purushottam and Abhiram, to have me, on this particular podcast. It's definitely exciting to be here. For a small intro from my side, yes, I have been into infosec since last 18 plus years now. I started my journey, in Genpact, where I have worked in the Security Operations Center, and then thereby, moved to Deloitte and a few other companies, but always was stuck on with the subject information security. I think infosec has been my passion since the time I was in college. So I've finished, like, I've done bachelor of computer applications, and those college projects, etc. That time we actually built a portal for identifying if a system has got vulnerable to any viruses or something. Very small
Wow.
project, however, that's where my interest in infosec started. And here I am with information security since last 18 plus years now. Yes.
Uh, that's quite a journey, and it's our pleasure to have you on the show. Um,
Thank you.
a question that we generally ask to all of our guests is, and we get unique
Mhm.
answers, right? What does a
Yeah.
day in your life look like nowadays?
All right. So I would actually start by saying, all my days are definitely starting with a positive note in the morning. I love making a to-do list for sure, whether it is my personal work or it's my personal or a professional, whatever list I'm making.
Mhm.
So the to-do list is first done, and then in that, then I have assigned my priorities, whether it is calling up the school for my son's work, or ordering groceries, or doing any of my priority like emails from which email has to be responded first, etc., etc. So all of that is in my to-do list first. That's the first thing I do when I start my day, after whatever first morning rituals like yoga, or so I'm into running. So I go for a run in the morning. I have my own fitness schedule. After that, this is what happens: the to-do list comes into picture, and then I assign the priorities to what my to-do list is. I also have a ritual of, I've subscribed to a lot of different websites, which gives me feed on what's happening on the cyber world today. That's something which we have to be updated with on a daily basis, I would say, because as you enter the office, you will have 100 people coming into to you and asking you for some sort of solution. What can I do for this particular problem, or what can I really do? This is not working out for me, etc. Or, oh my god, did you hear that about that breach? Is Are we impacted by anyway? So I think having a view of all of these different updates is also very important. So that's the second thing on my list, I would say, after the to do list. And then my day starts, of course. I mean, after entering into office, you have your meetings. These days it's good. I'm very happy that we're back in office. I was really tired of work from home and these calls and all of that. So I'm happy to be face to face, meeting people, talking, and instead of just getting onto an email or responding on an email, I think it's you talk, you give them a solution, you understand what their issues are, and then resolve it there. It reduces so much time, management time, basically. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's how my day basically goes on. And in the evening, like I was mentioning to you, I have my colleagues working in the and UK. So
Mhm.
basically, there is a little lap. So I have to get on a calls in the evening as well, uh, just so that we are working collaboratively and we know what globally what's happening and is there anything that we need to do from India perspective, etc. So yeah, that's how the whole day is. And obviously there are some important events during the day. Sometimes it's board meetings, sometimes it's an important meeting for with the management,
Mhm.
preparation for those meetings, etc. So yeah, I mean, sounds like a busy day, but I love the busy part of my life. That's what keeps me happy. I think I am happy to get assigned more challenges rather than
Nice.
mundane work, which is like, oh my god, I know all the answers to these things. I don't have to worry. I don't want that day. That's how
So
I look at it.
I really
Yeah.
liked how you said you start right with your to do list, and a
Yes.
lot of folks do that, but they don't talk about that quite a bit, because
Right.
sometimes it feels like, yeah, it's part of my job, so it's not important. But to do list is very important when it comes to planning your day, right?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and one of the keywords that you used is the prioritization, right?
Yes.
As a security leader, you might have to work on 50 items in a day, but you cannot
Correct.
get to all of them, right? How do you get
Yeah.
to the topmost priority one? So that's where, like, creating a to-do list and going
Yeah.
through it so that you can prioritize makes a lot of sense.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, and then you don't want to boggle down yourself by giving yourself a task which you cannot complete for that day, right?
Hmm.
I mean, you know that you could do only this much, and that's where the
Hmm.
priorities kick in.
Yeah.
If I know that today there are like so many meetings, I wouldn't be able to handle say 15 on a normal day. I could answer, but today because of these meetings, I would only be able to do 8 things.
Hmm.
So basically just filter them out so that you don't feel end of the day that, oh my god, I couldn't finish what I started in the morning.
And it gets overwhelming at the end of the day, right? That, hey, I have
Exactly.
so many things left, it goes to next day's to-do list, and it
Correct.
never finishes, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And in my mind, suddenly, Pushottam, and when things don't finish on time, then you're thinking about that during your me time, or in your sitting with your children.
Family time,
And
yeah,
then,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then I'm like, okay, you need to just rub them off. So don't burden yourself. To commit to yourself how much you can do, and then start a
Yeah,
new day
yeah,
next day.
absolutely. Makes sense. um, yeah, with that note, let's get started on the episode. So today we
Sure.
are going to talk about, like, around culture and third party risk management.
Right.
So let's jump into the first part, right?
Sure.
In one of the recent in one of your recent interviews, you said that emotional intelligence is crucial in today's world and should be a priority for all leaders, as it
Yes.
goes beyond just cybersecurity. So
Correct.
for our audience, can you tell us, what does emotional intelligence mean?
Absolutely. So, see, this subject is very near and dear to me. I practice. It's not like I even can't say that I practice. It's like what how people are actually observing you,
Hmm.
and they are looking at how you're conducting things, right? So basically. emotional intelligence is an ability to understand or manage self emotions, right? What I am going through. When I'm able to recognize my own emotions, I'll be able to recognize the person I'm talking to in front of me, his emotions. It's like, I would say, if I have to calculate how I want to really look at all of this, if I'm saying, if I'm good at the, if I'm, am I good at emotional intelligence at all, then there are like, by book, if you go, there are some 5 6 parameters that you have to evaluate yourself on, like, self-awareness. How aware are you about your own emotions? Are you able to identify? Do you have the ability to control your emotions? How are you using those emotions either to strengthen what you're doing, or are these like becoming your weaknesses?
Mm-hmm.
Second is self regulation, for example, right? Now, how, when you're actually controlling your emotions and you're trying, in a healthy way, of course, without harming yourself, how
Mm-hmm.
are you able to handle impulsive, situations, for example, right? How are you
Yeah.
able to discipline yourself using
Mm-hmm.
emotional intelligence within yourself? Motivation. Now, I'm a very self motivated person. I, of course, every one of us look for feedback, of us look for some praise for the work we do, whether it is
Mm-hmm.
at home or at office. But I'm a person who is self motivated. I really do not. Yes, I'm happy if people are giving me feedback. I'm very happy if they say good words, or they have some feedback on improvement areas, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But that wouldn't stop me from doing anything more, or get demotivated because I'm not being praised for about what my work is. Because
Mm-hmm.
uh, motivation come from within. That's what I believe in, and I use my emotions even to motivate or inculcate that ability for me to achieve whatever goals, or whatever ratings or something. You see, a lot of things are there in this world to achieve, but then you can't achieve everything. You need to have, again, a bucket list, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So I motivate, self motivation is something very important for me to achieve those, maybe one or two goals what I have, or the bucket list what I have.
Mm-hmm.
So we spoke about self awareness, we spoke about self regulation, self motivation, and then I think very simple thing like empathy, right? I mean, when we are talking to people, our ability to understand, empathize, it's not about sympathy, it is more about empathy. Yeah. You don't put yourself in their shoes and start still sympathizing with them, but then yes, you maintain, you maintain that balance, and
Mm-hmm.
also ensure that they are able to understand, we are able to understand the opposite person's feeling, and we are able to control our own feelings. So
Mm-hmm.
empathizing with self, that would be another one. And I think the best part of EI is the social skills. So I'm a big one on social skills. I love networking. I love making new friends. I love
Mm-hmm.
making new relationships wherein I want to learn things from others. So that ability also kicks in. So it's a combination of all of these things, Purushottam, if I have to summarize how
Mm-hmm.
emotional intelligence actually influences a self,
Okay.
over others, and how you're able to control your own emotions in
Okay.
that sense.
So, thank you so much for going in detail, right? What does
Yeah,
emotional intelligence, like, what are different parameters, and why
yeah,
why is it important? Why should, as a security leader, I should
right.
even think about it?
Yeah. So, as a security leader, I wouldn't just again constrain this to security itself, but anybody who is in that role where you have to handle a high, you're put into that situations. There are impulsive situations. There could be a security incident. There could be something which is just coming on your way, and you're not aware. So, unwanted surprises.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I have to handle such situations, I think the EI really helps to make you calm, first of all, because you're controlling your emotions there, whether it is infosec or anything, any other profession also. It is important that we look at it in a different way. It's not like you're taking impulsive decisions and you're trying to just do something and this just get rid of whatever has come on your way because you were not prepared for it,
Right.
right? And these kind of situations definitely will come in every other profession. But I think when I talk about information security, I think we are sitting on that red chair, which could blow you up any day, any time, and we really don't know how, from where, and how is it going to come and hit you.
Hmm.
So I think having these skills, what we just spoke about, will help in managing such situations well. And then you have to work a lot with other people in this profession too, right? I mean, you have to have very close relationship with your IT teams, or the business teams, or even the compliance, or risk, etc., etc. And everybody will have their own perspectives. They will
Hmm.
come and talk to you about how this needs to be handled, but end of the
Hmm.
day, it is in your hands, how you are taking it, how are you managing all of those conversations. I think when you have these skills, I would
Hmm.
say it's going to be making your life easy. And because you're able to understand other person's emotions as well while you talk, you're able to understand, and then you're making a balance out of it. So that's why I say, EI is really crucial for any leader, whether it is
Hmm.
cybersecurity or outside,
Okay.
doesn't matter.
So the way I see it is it helps as a security leader to myself and also to the team that I'm collaborating with, so that they
Yes,
also feel safe to
correct,
contribute, right, in a
correct,
open manner. So
absolutely.
that's a good segue to my next question, which is, when
Hmm.
we speak with many security leaders, right, they often talk about culture, and
Yes,
it sometimes boils down to the safety, how safe the team feels, your team or the team you are collaborating with, because
right,
the more comfortable or safe they feel, they feel comfortable to share their opinion or to add the value, right? So
correct.
uh, how do you create a culture where psychological safety in your team, like people feel comfortable to even report their mistakes and learnings with others?
Right. So on this one, right, it is actually a very, very touchy subject, I would say, Purushottam, because every person will have their own style of, managing a team or creating
Mm-hmm.
that culture, and making, people really feel safe about, coming and talking to you about anything and everything, right?
Right.
So I would say, from when I do these things, or what I really follow
Mm-hmm.
is, with my team,
Mm-hmm.
I make them feel comfortable by, you know giving them that space to work. Right? Everybody wants, nobody wants micromanagement, first of all, right? And when you're talking to a bigger team, now we have a team of say 15 people. Obviously you will not be able to talk to each one of them on a daily basis, but yes, you should be knowing what is happening with each one of them. Do they really need you for something where you need to be available for, or is there anything that they need to come and talk to you about? So maybe one example I can give you is, uh, you know I encourage my team to take risks. So when I say you have to try out new things, right? I mean, without trying out new things and without failing in whatever you are doing, someday you will fail and you'll have to learn through that failure. Unless you give them that space of, okay, don't worry, you are safe. I have your back. Go ahead, try this out, and come back and tell me what really happened. Was it a success or a failure? So, and it's not like, that's one mantra actually I have. And as a team leader, for example, right,
Mm-hmm.
even when I do something which is I cannot be like always doing the right thing, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there could be some situations where, uh, I might do something which is, may not be the right thing as per the policy, for example.
Right.
So my team needs to have that courage, that courage to come and tell me, Shivani, you know what, you suggested something, but then, this is not in line to what we actually do. Do we want to relook at it? That courage has to be there. So when will they have that courage? When they actually see me going and telling them that, what, looks like I've not given a proper solution on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is not going to work for for this particular solution what I was proposing to the business teams. So when I have that open conversation, I think that's when the team will also open up. They will not shy away from coming and talking to me about anything and everything. So I think uh, vulnerability, what I have, like, if I have done something, I have to be honest about it. I have to be showing, that yes, maybe it was a genuine mistake. I, of course, nobody's going to get punished about it. We are not in school, but yes, that that confidence, or that yes, my manager or my team leader is going to be supporting me in this journey. I think that feeling when a person gets in the team, that's where I would say there is that culture of uh, uh, you're creating a nice culture. Plus, the team is basically feeling safe within.
Right, right.
So
Oh,
yeah,
I really liked the point where you highlighted that you give freedom to your team to explore and take risks. Often,
yes,
what happens is we uh, penalize our team members if they make even a slightest mistake, right?
slightest
And
mistake.
then they don't feel safe anymore. They do not
Correct.
feel comfortable to take any risk. They will rather follow the playbook, right? Hey,
Yeah,
do step one,
exactly.
step two, step three. Then there is no comfort anymore, right? So I really
Yeah.
love that, like when you give freedom to take risks, that
Yeah,
helps with innovation and
exactly.
culture also.
Innovation is the word. Exactly. Innovation is the word. I mean, we have so many youngsters, right, Purushottam? They're like 2 years experience in the infosec. They are here
Hmm.
to do a lot of things. I mean, I would say I have spent like 18 plus years already. I mean, when I was 2 years experience, when I had 2 years experience, I wanted to just explore a lot of things. And I can understand when they come and tell me, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I'm like, yes, please go ahead and let's see what happens. And then see how it is turning out as a positive for the company, basically. So everything what we're doing obviously has to help the organization in some way or the other. But then one mantra again, Purushottam, I would like to say is, you can't repeat the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, of
That's
course.
not acceptable. Yeah, I mean, you have learned, you did once, yes, you learned your lesson, and then you can't repeat that again. That's not something which is acceptable, I would say.
Makes sense, makes sense. I mean, you learn, that shows that you are learning from your mistakes, right? If you
Correct,
cannot learn from
correct.
your mistakes, then yeah, it's a challenge.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So now if I want to take the culture to one more level, which is, most organizations have a defined culture in a way, right? Some are
Right.
engineering driven, some are security driven. So
Correct.
as a security leader, how would you ensure that, or how will you bring awareness or develop a security centric culture in your team, in your organization?
Absolutely. I think that's that question is something which I love to answer because, a lot of these organizations I've worked with, uh,
Hmm.
a lot of them, I had to start with zero. I mean, when you are a consultant and you're representing a consulting firm and going there and, you're telling something,
Hmm.
obviously because there are some situations where they don't want to listen to you, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and they will say, no, 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 we already have this, we're compliant, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do that. I mean, your suggestions just go in the air.
Hmm.
So how do you bring them back,
Hmm.
because we are here to help you guys.
Yeah.
It's not a fault finding exercise, or we're not trying to
Hmm.
find some things which are definitely not relevant for your organization or for your environment. So I think bringing that conversation on the table, it's not just about why am I giving this recommendation. It's about how is this going to help you in the future, how is this going to help you in achieving whatever you had on your list. Say if you want to clear a certification, this is the bare minimum what you need to do. There are some organizations like that. My another example I can give you is, you know I like, again, I would say the same team example what I gave. I
Hmm.
wouldn't, I have like a information security help desk, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So like you have an IT help desk where you go and
Right, right.
solve your laptop problems, right?
Hmm.
And then I have it's when I'm just funnily calling it as information security help desk. It's me. So I'm sitting there. People just come walk to my desk and they say, Shivani, how do I handle this? I need one, two, three things from you. Could you help me with this one? The client is asking me, there's an RFP which has 200 questions and I don't know how to answer.
Hmm.
So when you start handling these things, they understand from what perspective am I giving those answers, right? You're trying to educate them on what an organization's security policy is, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
then how much can be shared to the other outsider, how much is the and what is internal confidential. So, these things, when you start discussing with the business teams or any other teams within the organization, that means you're actually spreading security culture out there, right? If people know that, okay, before I do something, so for example, before I have an application onboarded on production, I know
Mm-hmm.
what the process is. That means it's a win situation for infosec teams. That, okay, people know what scans have to be done. People know,
Right.
is there remediation. People know, and how are we achieving that? By engaging developers. So for example, I'm talking to the developers. I'm telling them, you know what, this is the CI/CD pipeline. This is how the
Mm-hmm.
scans have to work. This is the reports I will need as a part of my change management process, as a part of my AppSec related process. And if those reports start coming to you without even asking, that means you have done a good job of spreading the awareness.
Right.
So I think small things like this will help us in spreading that culture.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I would want to add is celebrating small successes, right? Now we do that by calling someone a security champion, for example. This guy or this girl has demonstrated the security culture, so we give them a security champion award, for example. That will motivate others, right?
Right.
And when
Right.
name starts coming out in the public, saying, he or she has done this and she's now a security champion,
Mm-hmm.
who doesn't want a recognition like that
Yeah.
from a security team? So those small things, collaboratively working with different business teams, making them understand why information security is important. um, you know Gone are those days where you're sending those security awareness emails, nobody reads those. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we have to think of new ways of doing these things. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. I really love the part where you said, right, like maybe every month you have a security champion, which shows
Yes.
two things, right? One is that you recognize someone's effort when it comes to
Correct.
security, and
Yeah.
also it shows that there is recognition, right? Sometimes what happens is we do not celebrate small
Correct.
wins because we are always looking for a, let's say, end of the quarter rollout or end of the year
Yeah.
rollout. We often forget about what's
Small things.
happening on a day-to-day basis, right? So yeah, I
Absolutely.
really love those two things. And that's what I love about sports, because no
Yeah.
matter what the outcome is, let's say cricket, right? Every
Yeah.
wicket or every six sometimes is enjoyed or
Yeah.
celebrated.
You're
So yeah,
shouting, you're cheering. Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I want to pivot to the next topic, which is third-party risk management.
Sure.
So let's start with some definitions. What is third-party risk, and why does it need attention?
All right. So basically, if I have to put it in this way, I'm having somebody I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
either giving me services or taking services from me,
Okay.
right? Uh, so I don't. So before I'm onboarding these guys, any third party, I do want to do a proper background check.
Okay.
So the HR process, what we have, where a person gets
It's very
hired.
much like hiring. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So when I'm onboarding a third party, obviously
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing some checks and balances before I give them access, give them any services, or take any services from them. So that, in a simple way, I would say that's what third party risk management would be.
Okay. And let's say, or what's your opinion? Like, at what stage of an organization does it become
Mhm.
important? Is it like, does it apply to a person startup, or it is only for enterprises with, let's say, 10,000 employees? How would you define when should I invest time on third party risk management?
Right. No, I think this is applicable for anyone and everyone who is taking any of the third party services. It's
Okay.
not about how small the organization is or how big the organization is. Since you are going to connect to this particular third party or to provide services or to take services, we need to be aware of what this third party is all about, what's their security posture looks like, how mature are they from infosec perspective. I mean, third party risk management is just one part. And when do I start thinking about this? The moment I know that I'm going to outsource or insource a third party for anything, I think that's when you start doing the third party risk management, period. I mean, you know how it works, right? I mean, the legal formalities and the risk assessments should go hand in hand, so
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, obviously business has their own urgencies. So I would say, we need to, the moment the business thinks that, okay, I will need to onboard somebody for
Mm-hmm.
providing these services to me, that's when you start doing the third party risk management for that particular vendor or a third party, whoever it is. So that
Okay.
we, before even we conclude or say, yes, this is the third party I want to go with, the
Mm-hmm.
risk assessment has to be completed before that.
Okay. So one of the things you highlighted earlier was the RFP. Like sometimes, let's say you're working
Yes.
on somebody is working on an RFP and they ask you some questions around
Yeah.
security, and that
Correct.
is nowadays a norm, right? When you are onboarding
Yes.
a new vendor, you often ask them to fill in a security questionnaire, which talks about,
Absolutely.
let's say, pen tests, certifications, SDLC
Yeah.
process, and many more
Yeah.
things. Does
Correct.
that not cover all the requirements? Like, does that not safeguard me as an organization when I'm onboarding a vendor? What
Right.
else do I need to do?
I think that's just a starting point, Purushottam.
Okay.
What I'm trying to understand by sending out an RFP is, do the company or the organization actually has the capabilities what I'm looking for from infosec perspective? Do they have like a governance, compliance, that culture? Do I it will give me an understanding of what kind of processes do they have within the company, which ensures or gives me assurance that yes, they are doing, you know, whatever good job on information security domains what we have, right? That's like a
Mm-hmm.
starting point. That's definitely not enough for me to go ahead and onboard this third party. There are certain other things which I would be interested. It's like, uh, I would put this in a, you know, in a way like, pre onboarding, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
prerequisites what I have, post onboarding, and then I
Mm-hmm.
have my governance and monitoring, basically, right?
Okay.
uh, Pre onboarding would be that checklist. Basically, I'm asking for some certain things to be shared with me. Once I review those things, I do a audit on them. So basically, I go now and say, okay, now that you've given me, say for example, network diagram, okay, um, I would say, now that you've given me a network diagram, could you give me a walkthrough of what this is? Now, let's take a scenario where I am going to give the services to them, right? So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in this case, there is data exchange, for example.
Right.
So, which environment is this data going to go and sit in? Okay, which
Mm-hmm.
server is that? Is that a segregated server? Is that a dedicated server? Or is it like a shared server? Who all has
Mm-hmm.
access to that? Access control is again another domain which is very important.
Right.
What could be now, depending on, you know, what kind of data it is, if it's a PII data, if it's SPDI data, what kind of circulars or say rules, as per the infosec policy what the company has, are they in line to what is being followed on the other side or not? So basic example, a simple example could be purging of data. I
Mm-hmm.
might have an internal policy which says within 6 months or within 8 months, you will have to purge that data, what you got from us, right?
Right.
So are they
Right.
really doing that or not? Okay, so such things, we will have to do that as a part of the audit process, which is prerequisites have come in. Now I'm doing the
Right.
audits. Once I do the audit, I have a post onboarding, you know, requests which we have. Am
Mm-hmm.
I, you know, am I doing the IP whitelisting? For example, if it's a integration of API, uh,
Mm-hmm.
how am I doing the whitelisting of those IPs? How am I doing the certificate generation? How is that shared basically? How am I actually controlling the traffic what is coming in? How is it coming in, etc., etc.? Is it all this URLs what I have? Do they
Mm-hmm.
have like a WAF? What kind of
Right.
network controls do they have in place, etc., etc.? So all of these things basically fall into that checklist. The bigger part now is, I think these are the simpler ones, right? The bigger thing now is post onboarding, where it comes to governance and, you know, monitoring. what
Mm-hmm.
tools do I have which is going to give me visibility on the health of that network, for example, the vendor's
Right.
network, right?
Right. Right.
How the legal agreements, for example,
Mm-hmm.
I'm being safeguarded only by legal clauses, but that's
Right.
not going to help me in the future. If
Mm-hmm.
something really happens, legally I would be able to do something, but then what's gone is gone.
Right.
So, proactively, is there a way that I get notified about anything which is changing? A simple example could be you would have heard about BitSite and RiskRecon kind of portals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where publicly available information is actually monitored by these, third-party vendors, and they send out a report or they send out an alert saying, okay, they monitor some 10 domains which are good enough for us to monitor our third parties, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So, these guys give you the alerts saying, okay, their score has fallen down from, say, 9.8 to 6.5. So, an alert comes to us saying, okay, you know what, so and so vendor of yours, the score has gone down. Do you want to take any
Mm-hmm.
action? Right? Or it could be a surprise in the papers, for example,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
comes out about the vendor. So I think all of these checks, I think onboarding is not a problem, but post onboarding, the governance structure has to be very strong when you're looking at these third parties, because since you are onboarding those systems or integrating those services within your network is also at
Mm-hmm.
risk. So it is definitely more than important to get additional assurances from them, and not just the RFP responses.
Yeah, I love how detail oriented you are, like how much details you have shared, right? Often
Right.
what happens is when you are on the uh, when you are the sender, when you are sending filling in the questionnaire and sending it to, let's say, one of
Right.
your customers, you only see one side of it, right? You only see pre
Correct.
onboarding requisites, but there is so much more
Yes.
after that, right? Like post onboarding requisites and even the monitoring and governance thing. And the websites
Correct.
that you mentioned, will make sure to tag them also, so that our
Yeah,
audience
I
can
think
go in.
yes,
So
those
yeah,
guys are
I
doing a
love that.
fantastic job.
Yeah, yeah. I can see, right, the way we used to have, let's say, SLAs earlier
Yes. Yeah.
for any vendor services that you're using.
Correct.
Now these also play a role, that what's the credibility of
Absolutely.
your vendor? Has it gone up?
Absolutely.
Has it gone, like, if it goes up, it's good. If it
Yeah.
goes down, that's when you have to at least be
Be
aware
alert.
of, right, so that you can
Yes.
take action on it. So
Correct.
makes a lot of sense.
Correct.
um,
Yeah.
so a follow-up question to that is,
Hmm.
um, like, at your scale, like the company that you work at, you might be working with thousands of vendors, right? Or
Yes.
let's say hundreds of vendors, and they might
Yeah.
be integrated into many of your applications. Some of them are
Absolutely.
business critical, some of them are maybe not the highest priority applications.
Yeah.
So w- what practices do you generally expect your vendors to have in place, so that you know that your business critical, like critical business applications, are not impacted?
Right. So I think we should not be just leaving it to the vendors. One thing we should also be monitoring our side of story too, right? As an
Okay.
organization, we are connected, and if I mean, how long does it take to traverse from our network to any other network which are connected?
Hmm.
So, these tools, what we just spoke about, those are one thing which we actually do a lot of work on. A few other things like so we do an annual attestation, right? What happens is
Okay.
every year we have to go and redo the assessment. So basically, what we do is we divide the vendors into criticality. So we have some tiering attached to it. Basically,
Hmm.
tier one, tier two, tier three, tier four, tier five, right?
Hmm.
So based on the services which we are giving or taking, we bucket them into these tiers. So when you
Right.
bucket them, then you know how you want to handle, say, what kind of importance are you going to give to the tier one vendor versus a tier five vendor, right? So that gives me a leeway on using my prioritization again here on which vendor needs to be concentrated more on, monitored more, maybe additional assurance certifications to be requested for, and which vendor am I okay with, if I don't audit them, for example, for 2 years also, not going to harm me much. right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this bucketing is very important, adding a tier based on some criteria, which will help you. Putting a particular third party into these tierings is going to help you in prioritization. It's going to help you in monitoring aspects as well.
Okay. The that's spot on, right? It helps, as you highlighted. Unless
Yeah,
you know which bucket that particular vendor goes into, it's very
correct.
difficult if their score goes down. Let's say, how
Yeah,
do you take action? If it is critical
right.
business application, you have to act right away, right? Versus if
Mhm.
it is maybe not so critical, maybe you can do it till next week. I'm just giving an
Right.
example.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, makes a lot of sense. And yeah, that's a great way to end the security questions section. Thanks, Shivani, for the fun and insightful conversation. Here are a few important points which stood out for me. The first one is, from a culture perspective, create an environment where your team feels comfortable in taking risk. Without risk taking, there is no innovation. The second one is, when it comes to security, show the ROI to the leadership, and do not forget to recognize effort and celebrate small wins. The last one is, assign tiers to vendors based on business criticality from a third party risk management perspective. This helps in prioritization in future. Thank you so much. Let's go to the security practices section. So in this
Sure.
section, what we do is we'll share a security practice, and
Mhm.
we are looking for a rating between 1 to 5, 1 being the worst and 5 being the best. And
Okay.
along with the score, if you want to, along with the rating, if you want to provide any additional context, so
Okay.
that our audience can relate to it, right? That's
Sure.
also helpful.
Absolutely.
So
Okay.
let me go to the first one. The first one
Yeah.
is, provide training and awareness programs to employees
Mhm.
so that they can identify and respond to potential security threats.
Right. I think this is like old way of doing things. I would say, so it's a scale of 1 to 5. Is it, Pushata?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll rate this maybe 5, because
Okay.
these days, I mean, I personally, if you ask me, I am not interested in reading any of those mailers which come in, unless unless I'm getting something out of it. So yeah, I would rate that as 5. Yes.
Okay. The next one is, granting users unrestricted access to systems and applications so that we can move fast and roll out new features.
So access control has been my baby since I think I'm in infosec, I would say, and that's like a basic thing, and I wouldn't shy away. I mean, a lot of us
Hmm.
across are still struggling in managing accesses.
Right.
So giving unrestricted access is definitely a no-no. For me, I will rate this as number one priority for any
Hmm.
organization. I think access control is the bare minimum thing we could all concentrate on. There are so many things available in the market today, but yet,
Hmm.
because of the legacy systems, the new technologies, somebody wants something new,
Hmm.
integrations, etc., etc. We always have an improvement area, right? I mean, it's not like 100%. How much ever you try, I mean,
Right.
access control has always been a painful point for all of us. So this is our number one priority.
Yeah, makes sense. And nowadays, a lot of folks talk about network is not the perimeter now, like identity or the access has become the new
Exactly.
perimeter, especially in the
Absolutely.
cloud era, right?
Correct.
So
Correct. And then
you're
the
you're spot
COVID
on.
times. Yeah, and the COVID times, right? I mean, everything is remote.
Hmm.
So obviously everything starts from access.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Uh, so the last one is, continuous integration is a must for DevOps practices. Security architecture review should be conducted as part of integration itself.
If I can rate this also 1, but no, I'll rate this as 2, because
Okay.
since 1 is already taken. But this one is also another thing which we all actually have to work on. We've always said, I think the recent days, past 1.5, 2 years, we've always heard people talking. shift left, security
Mm-hmm.
shift left. I
Right.
think DevSecOps concept actually came in from there, where
Mm-hmm.
you code, you scan, you do these inject and eject of these code basically, and then you really have like a clean, polished deployment built or whatever.
Right.
But yes, we do have a lot of things to work on from this aspect. But then if you're making things automated, I think it's helping everybody, not just the infosec team. I think the developers are also very happy that they
Mm-hmm.
don't have to put in into some extra engines, get the scan done, get the reports to us, get it reviewed, and then spend a hell lot of a time asking us, no, 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 this is false positive, this is true, this is something which we cannot fix, and all that. So I
Yeah.
think I would rate this as two, but then we have to make each other's life easy. I think
Mm-hmm.
CI/CD or DevSecOps is something taking us into that path, I would say. Yeah, it's helping us big time.
Yeah, absolutely. I generally ask this question before we end the episode. I know
Hmm.
that you said at the beginning of the day you go through your newsletters or subscriptions to
Yes.
read about what's going on, right? Any
Yeah.
reading recommendation that you have for our audience? It can be a blog or a book or a podcast, anything, anyone.
Okay. So from cybersecurity perspective, I would say I like what's there in the ISMG media, that website. Okay,
Okay.
I like the cyber world related news which comes in on various forums. I can
Okay.
give you maybe some forums, and I'm also a big reader of Harvard leadership tips. So those are something which I really enjoy listening to. So there are some podcasts available on Spotify
Mm-hmm.
where women at work, Harvard women leadership talks. There are like specific case studies they pick up, and they
Mm-hmm.
try to solve the problem on the podcast itself for that person. I think it's really interesting sometimes to just listen to them while you're
Right.
driving to office.
Yeah.
It kind of motivates you for that day. I mean, I'm a big music lover, but then sometimes I switch to podcasts as well. So these kind of podcasts really motivate me. They give me a positive outlook of, and these subjects are so relevant. I can't tell you.
Yeah.
These are something which every professional actually go through these things on a daily basis. So it's like I'm not able to cope up with my coworker. I mean, who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't go through that? So,
Yeah.
do I really like my? How do I handle my micromanagement boss? And like, who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't go through that? Everybody goes through all those things, right? So these podcasts are another way of managing EI. I would say emotional intelligence and self motivating. So these are some things which I really love listening to.
Okay. So what we'll do is when we publish this episode, we'll link to some of these websites so that our
Absolutely.
audience can also get benefited from it.
Sure, sure.
And thank you so much, Shivani, for joining. It was a fun episode.
Thank you so much for having me here, Purushottam. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you to our audience as well for watching. See you in our next episode.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.